here at the Reading Room CLE. This is our proprietress Cha-Cha, and she is going to have her dinner in front of the fire. But I wanted to show you all my news. The other day I was making Cha-Cha celery sticks, which she loves. They're one of her favorite vegetables. And I had all these extra celery bottoms, and I was on the phone with Nicole, who reads sometimes stories to her sourdough starter Bob. And Nicole said, you know, you can regrow a celery stalk. And I said, how? And she described it to me. And the other day, I put the bottom end of this celery stalk into this jar of water, and I've changed the water a few times. And as you can see, it has leaves and is growing, and I'm very proud of it and pleased with it and not sure what to do next. So, normally, I read Cha-Cha's story to her, but tonight I'm going to tell you a story that I learned when I was a little girl. I may remember parts of it wrong, but I will do my best. The story is from Poland, and it starts with a man who lives in a small house full of children, and the children are very loud, and when they're playing, it's hard to tell whether they're playing or fighting. When they're fighting, you can't tell if they're fighting or playing, and it's so noisy. He has such a headache, and his wife says, I swear I have married the stupidest man in Poland. This is a misery. So he goes to the rabbi, and he says, Rabbi, my children are so noisy, my wife is so frustrated, I have such a headache, I don't know what to do. And the rabbi says, oh, but what about that fine flock of chickens that you had? Do you still have that fine flock of chickens? And the man says, yes, yes, my wife is very good both with children and with chickens, and we do have that fine flock of chickens. And the rabbi says, why don't you just put those chickens in your house? And so the man says, well, that is interesting advice, but I suppose, you know, you are wise. I will put the chickens in my house. And he puts the chickens in his house, and for the next week it is a misery. The chickens are flying everywhere, making messes, destroying things, pecking things, giving each other glares with their beady little eyes. And the children think it's hilarious, but the children are also fighting louder than ever, and his wife says, I have married the stupidest man in Poland. What is wrong with you? And he goes back to the rabbi and he says, Rabbi, what do I do? My headache is worse than ever before. The children are louder than ever before. The chickens are making such a mess. And the rabbi says, what about that goat? You had such a handsome goat with that long white beard. Do you still have that goat? And the man says, yes, yes, we have the goat, yes. And the rabbi says, why don't you put that goat into your house? And the man says, with the chickens? And the rabbi says, yes, yes, just put the goat in the pantry. And so the man goes home and he puts the goat in the pantry, and the goat begins to kick up quite a fuss, and it half beats the pantry door down, and it breaks every jar in the pantry, and it spills the grain. But that's okay, because the chickens come and peck it up, which the children think is hilarious. They're shrieking with laughter, and his wife says, I have married the stupidest man in Poland. What is wrong with you? So the man goes back to the rabbi. He says, Rabbi, I don't know what to do. The goats, the chicken, my wife, my headache, what is next? And the rabbi says, what about that cow of yours? The man says, what about that cow of mine? And the rabbi says, well, that's just such a nice cow. Why don't you invite that cow into your living room? And so the man does. He puts the cow into the house with the goats and the chickens and the children and his wife, and they spend the week in very close, very crowded, very noisy company together. And at the end of the week, the man goes back to the rabbi and he says, Rabbi, I know that you are wise and I am very foolish, but I do not know what to do. It is so noisy. My head, the animals, my wife, what, please guide me. What should I do? And the rabbi says, why don't you just put all of those animals right back out in the stable? And the man goes home and he puts the animals out into the stable, and then he goes into the living room and he has the children help him sweep up the glass and the grain and the bits of door and the mess. And after it's all clean, they sit by the fire and they listen to each other in the blessed, blessed quiet. And his wife says, you are the wisest man in all of Poland. And they lived happily ever after, being grateful for their blessings. So, thank you so much for spending this evening with me. I will see you tomorrow when Cha-Cha has her dinner and another bedtime story for tiny dogs. In the meantime, keep reading.